Well, hello and welcome everybody to another Hawk Talk brought to you by datacenterHawk. Today we're looking at a rather different subject than usual. I am joined by three people from an organisation called GeN+1. And this is an industry association, if you like, that looks at how to address one of the key factors impacting the data center industry across the board, really, which is staff or skills shortage, rather, how to attract people into the industry, but in particular, how to attract maybe the younger demographic into the data center industry. So my name's David Sandars. I'm the Regional Director for EMEA for datacenterHawk, and I'm joined today by Holly, Hayley and Joe from GeN+1. Maybe you'd just like to kind of go around the room, as it were, although we're not all in the same room, and just introduce yourselves and give a little bit of background.
Yeah, I can jump in first. So Hayley Godlieb, my day job is actually a senior construction project manager at Equinix. I'm based in London and I'm part of the global design and construct team. And we're building all the new build data centers as like primarily, and then also involved in some sort of infrastructure update projects as well. I'll pass on to Joe.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Hayley. Joseph Pavitt. I'm one of the co-founders of GeN+1. My day job, I'm an M&E consultant by trade. I've got over 12 years experience with that, but 7 years of that's probably been dedicated to the data center sector. So made that transition across just as it started to seem to boom, really. And I've not looked back since.
Yeah, so unlike my colleagues Hayley and Joe, this is my day job. So I work full-time for GeN+1 and I've been doing that for just over a year now. So I am the head of marketing and communications.
Thank you very much for that, everyone. I might just ask you to expand a little bit about your own backgrounds and sort of how did you come to hear or learn about the data center industry, and how did you actually come to be working in it? What was the route you all took?
So for me, I studied design management at university, and when I left, I sort of looked for my placement year in a design management role, and sort of specialising in engineering sectors. And with many people trying to find jobs at the time, it's kind of who you know, not what you know. And my stepmom was actually working within the data centre sector, doing a lot of business development at the time. So she connected me in with a very small consultancy firm who specialised in sort of mission critical projects and data centres. So I sort of turned up on my first day with no idea what a data centre was, but all of a sudden now working on projects with huge household names, and thinking, wow, this is really kind of interesting that I'm looking sort of behind the scenes at how this sort of technology infrastructure was there. So this was about 12 years ago now. So I've really been building data centers, working in data center sector ever since. I have moved away from consultancy, where I sort of did my first 7 years, and I moved client side to Equinix 4 years ago. And I've always been in the data center sector. I've never worked anywhere else, and I've really really just sort of grown into it being my niche.
Myself, I left university 12 years ago now, and managed to get a job at NDY doing M&E consultancy. So my background is mechanical engineering, but mainly in the building services sector. I got a job straight from university, was working in the graduate scheme in NDY, really just finding my feet and what sort of route and what sector I wanted to lead into. My first sort of 4 or 5 years was within the sort of core mechanical team. So we did a lot of residential, commercial, office blocks, retail. And then the opportunity came along to join the fast-paced growing mission critical team. So I took the big leap. It was a bit nervy at the time. I didn't really understand or know much about data centers in that sense. It's just that they was very service heavy, so it really intrigued me. And going over to that team, it's been fast paced, it's been intense, but it's been really rewarding at the same time. And I've sort of grown with the industry had grown as well. So it's been a great move for me, I felt. Not looking back.
Very good. That's very interesting. Just one follow-up question on that. Norman Disney Young, how many did you say it was a graduate scheme they run? How many graduates do they hire per annum on that scheme?
Globally, you're looking at 30 plus. In the London office, it was in the region of 3 to 5, depending on sort of what's available in that sense. But yeah, it's quite a small cohort in the London office, but globally, quite a lot.
Thanks for that extra information there, Joe.
So I think mine's slightly less conventional than Hayley and Joe's, as before. Like Hayley said, it is who you know, not what you know. So luckily I knew Hayley, and that kind of got me in. I think for years Hayley'd sort of talked about data centers, and I'd sort of gone, oh, okay, yeah, no idea what that is or what you actually do day to day. But for me, my background is actually in teaching, and I just worked there for so long and found that the job wasn't something I was passionate about anymore. So looking for a shift and found data centers, obviously being one of the core principles of GeN+1. There's jobs that are needed, and it's who you know, and that's all about networking and connection. So it's all a good fit.
Yeah, very, very interesting as well. And I'm casting my mind back to how I got into the industry, and that was almost 22 years ago. So that's quite a long time. And it's funny that there's some very similar kind of themes there as well. I didn't know what data centers were, and I applied for a job with a company. I didn't know what they did. I read their website. It didn't make any sense. I couldn't pronounce the name of the company. But it's interesting. And even sort of over 2 decades later, I guess there's still some similar themes for the industry to perhaps address on a broader basis. But perhaps you'd like to give an overview and an introduction to GeN+1, what the organisation is, how it operates, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I could jump in here. GeN+1, we really build this around building that next generation of data center professionals, but then also still trying to build a community around that as well. We want to make sure that everyone feels welcome and that they can thrive and grow in a really natural environment. So it was for more than us, it was more than just networking, but trying to create a movement at the same time. And I mean, it's it used to be a very hush-hush industry, but now I feel like it's one of the cool places to be. So trying to shout about that and build up a really cool cohort of professionals is one of our key drivers, I feel.
And what do you know about how it all originated and where the concept came from?
So so myself, Joe, and our other co-founder, Richard Irwin, we are sort of long established friends from the sector. Joe and I actually met through working on a construction project together, myself representing the client as a consultant and Joe as a consultant design manager. So we worked really closely together. We've become good friends through the project, and we had quite a nice young team, which was really nice. And I hadn't really worked on a project with that format before. And naturally, we wanted to attend some networking events or some industry events together. And we kind of traditionally found that the data center events that were already set up and established weren't really, we were all sort of myself and Joe and the other young team members, we were sort of in our early 20s at the time. And we traditionally found the events more tailored for sort of the older generation. You'd often go and stand in a bar with a name tag on, and there wouldn't be any music playing. And, we would kind of go there for one or two, show our faces because maybe we've been obliged to by our company, and then we'd kind of go off and do our own thing. And what we said is, like, especially bringing in our graduates and everybody who was coming up the industry behind us, it didn't really feel like it was a very inclusive environment or exciting environment. It wasn't kind of reflecting what we were seeing kind of in the project and on the team. So we kind of had this idea, well, if the events aren't any fun, like, why don't we do our own event? And that's really how it took off. And the first one we ever did was pretty small in a club in Shoreditch, and we sort of rang round everybody that we knew, and we said, right, come along to this event. And it was originally planned to just be a one-off. And then what we found is that there was such a big need for something like this. So as soon as we finished the first event, everybody was like ringing saying, are you going to do another one? This is great. We've got graduates coming in. We want to bring them. And it really got a lot of traction. And we were kind of overwhelmed with how much demand there was, that we decided to do more and more events. And we ended up with doing sort of 3 core events each year. And we're kind of a few years in now. And I think it really shows how many young professionals, one, are coming in, or who are already there, just because of the demand that we've had. And also, I think the inclusive environment, the male to female divide we get is like something that I've never experienced at another data center event before. And I think it just really gives an overview of where the sector is going, what the industry and the people coming through is actually looking like. It's a great representation. Whereas I feel like 10 years ago when I was going to these events, it probably was a representation of where the industry was at. And I was kind of walking in and sort of as a young female myself being like, this isn't really the space for me. So I think it was really set up initially as just a bit of fun, but it's become an actual need and a requirement based on how the sector's looking.
Great. I mean, that's really interesting to hear. It's funny how something that started off as a few friends meeting in a bar somewhere, and it's snowballed now. And Holly, what's the organisation look like now from those kind of those very early days?
So obviously, I've worked for GeN+1 for just over a year. So prior to my sort of onboarding, poor Hayley and Joe and Richard were running around London trying to organise events, doing their day jobs and calling up everyone in the industry they knew who had graduates and trying to encourage them to come along. So I think in order for me to come on board and try and make this the requirement that is clearly that the industry is crying out for was really key. Where we're kind of at now and then how we run things is that we kind of sum up GeN+1 in a bit of a triangle. At each point we're trying to target and action something that we think young people need and they're looking for. So at one point you've got wellness events where we're hosting things like run clubs, or we had a paddle tournament back in March. At the other point you've got something like an educational masterclass, so it's that offering of progression and things where they can focus on their careers, but maybe that's something that their company doesn't already offer them. And these things are all free as well, and they're those soft skills that you leave university and they're not taught to you, but actually they're really key going up through your career and progression. I know for a fact that people come along and they've said to us, I've got my appraisal next week, how would you handle this? I've never even had one before, I don't know what to look for. And we've had some sessions before where we've had actors come in to show us, how it's not done, for example, but also get you involved and make sure that you're experienced in that and you feel confident. So some of the examples we've had before are very comical, and actually it's more of a comedy sketch than it is a masterclass performance, but those sort of educational events are really key. And at the other point of the triangle, you've got our staple core events, our big networking parties, which is just getting all of those young people, especially in London, in one space at one time, so that they feel like they can network amongst other people their age, have a good time, but do that in a relaxed environment. So whether that's listening to some good music together, or we've got activities and things that you can do so it doesn't feel so awkward, and potentially you meet people more organically rather than scouting the room looking for that name tag of somebody. You actually, I need to go and speak to them, I've been told I need to find them. It's actually meet the person person first, and then find out later whether they're a connection. That's something that's going to help you in the future. You never even know. So that really does help to build a community. So we I like to describe our event base on that sort of triangle shape, where there is something for everybody, but equally something that we are really key on focusing on, which is kind of my day-to-day role, is helping to push the awareness of the industry. So that is something that's obviously really important to us. Is yes, we've got people in the industry, we're helping them progress, we're helping them to grow and meet other people, but what about those people that are at school, sixth form, university, that don't even know that data centers, one, exist, two, like me a year ago, what even is that? Or that's a job pathway that they can explore, or something they could be really good at. So we're kind of trying to tackle that through our social platforms, and we're doing that very cleverly. So whether it be a TikTok chatty video, or a fun reel, or a trend, or something on Instagram, or whether it's a bit more informative on LinkedIn, we try to tailor it each platform, so we are getting that information out to all the different audiences, and spreading the message loud and clear that this is something for everybody, and there is jobs for all.
Excellent, and there's some really great initiatives there. I love the concept of helping coach people through performance appraisals, and perhaps other internal meetings, something that you don't really hear of at all, really, once you're in an organisation and working for them. But it's great, especially young people in our industry can call on an organisation to help them through that slightly kind of nerve-wracking process, and give them some confidence to go into that program. That's for sure. And from kind of humble beginnings in a bar in East London somewhere, what does the GeN+1 organisation look like now in terms of scope and locations where it operates, if you like?
So obviously one of the things I mentioned is one of our core things that we focus on, our wellness events. So we've got run clubs. We've actually been doing our London one for a year now. It's our 1 year birthday in September, which is very exciting. And they are extremely popular. This month, for example, we're hosting with Global Switch. They've offered a tour of their liquid cooling suite, which is a really nice opportunity, and something that young people, you should be surprised the amount of young people working in data centers that have never actually stepped foot in one. So that's quite cool to host us from their live location. But aside from London, we've also got run clubs in Frankfurt, Milan, Madrid, Dublin. And we are spreading that. So, if you're away with work, or whether you've got colleagues in other countries, it's not just if you're in London and you happen to be here on this day. It is trying to bring that globally, but just doing it on a small scale, because we are such a small team, and it's time and resources, of course. But that gives you a bit of an idea of those hotspots. So it's those places where data center need is important. But in terms of our community, we've got over 2,000 young people already in the industry or looking to get into it on our database. We've got following on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we also have a monthly newsletter where we're giving that short snippets of digestible data center news. And the way that we try to tailor that is that if you are going into a big meeting, or you're going to talk to an important client or something soon, you've got something to have a conversation about, you've kind of done a little bit of reading, it's kind of giving you a few little things and pointers that you can use in those conversations. And one, they're really helpful for me to know what's actually going on in the industry, not being sort of from just a year now. So our newsletters are also really key for us to post about our events and what's going on, and it keeps everybody, and companies can use it as well. They can use it to promote the sort of apprenticeship schemes they're doing, or their achievements that they've had, milestones. So we've got, I think, over 1,300 subscribers on the newsletter, and there's only been 3 editions of it so far. So no pressure.
And I guess that's your job to put that together and sign up more subscribers as well, is it, Holly?
Well, I won't say yes, because then everyone will know if there's something wrong with it, it's my fault.
You've learned a lot.
It's a team effort.
Very good. I'm interested in the kind of outreach element of GeN+1 as well. So sort of not just looking internally to the data center industry as a whole, but what is the organisation doing to speak to other areas of industry, other areas of the community, if you like, outside the data center sector? And in particular, how does that integrate with the companies that you, Joe, and you, Hayley, work for? And do those organisations have programs that reach out into the community to talk about the data centre industry? And does GeN+1 integrate into that or not?
So at Equinix, we do a graduate program, and it's really working with the local communities where our data centers are being built, because one there's a huge skills gap shortage, and you need people not only to build the data centers like in my team, but you need people to operate these data centers. And something that Equinix are doing is an outreach program and working with local schools to help provide sort of training education programs ahead of people coming into the working age, to teach them the basic skills, and to also, one, promote that there are these jobs coming, but two, get them ready for careers in data centers. So that is something that Equinix are actively doing. Obviously, with my involvement in both Equinix and GeN+1, I'm talking to the same team that are involved in that, and looking at ways that we could collaborate with these schools, because they already have. So I know in Slough, for example, where one of our big hubs is as Equinix, we have Equinix has great relationships with the local community and the schools there, and instead of trying to re-establish this again as GeN+1, collaborating with Equinix and coming and joining forces almost to see if we can help with the schools with some of the education programs, the soft skills stuff that we provide, but also looking at presenting the career opportunities for other sectors as well. So it's there's heaps of roles, different roles in that can be data centers, all the way from sort of operational to engineers to sustainability, and really trying to bring all of these different sectors together and say, actually, a lot of the skills that you are learning are very transferable. So even if you kind of go and do a management one, you don't necessarily have to go into data center. You could go and do a management role anywhere else. And I think that's really key. I think everybody needs to start working together and using the connections that they have. I can't speak for many of the other developers, but I'm sure that they're all doing the same thing as well. So I'm hoping that we'll all join forces and we'll all kind of target this skills gap shortage together, because ultimately it benefits everybody if we work together to do that.
That's great to hear. Such a large corporation like Equinix is heavily involved in the communities where the data centers are located, and has that program in place, and of course GeN+1 is part of it. And how about Norman Disney Young, Joe?
We're trying to reach out to the schools, the colleges, getting the careers fairs, just to promote what we can do. But then also outside of that, with local communities as well. I think that's a key driver for us as GeN+1 next year, is to get that outreach to everyone else, not just in the industry, but outside the industry. And then in terms of sort of cross-discipline and transferable skills, we internally we run a bi-weekly mission critical training session that's open to all of the operating units that NDY sits under, and that's global. So we have people dialing from America, Australia, Canada, and any other regions where they can dial in at that time, and we have small sort of CPD style sessions. We either get external parties in to present what the up and coming technologies are, or we have an internal presentation to show maybe a lessons learned from a project. And as I said, these are not just open to the mission critical team, but all the other sectors that we work in, just to see if we can tempt anyone else from another sector to help us out with the transferable skills, and they can fit into the team quite nicely. So yeah, a lot of things happening.
Brilliant. It's great to hear that too. Global organisations like the two that you both work for are so engaged and so active in educating not just internally but externally in the community about what data centres are, and talking to young people, and perhaps sowing that seed of potentially looking at the industry from an employment perspective at some stage. Tell me a little bit more about membership of GeN+1. How does that work?
So, I mean, in terms of coming to our events or joining the GeN+1 movement, I mean, all our events, or most of our events, are free. Anyone's welcome to come to the event. And obviously, our GeN+1 role is you always try and bring someone along that is maybe not in the industry yet. So we're providing that platform to show them what we can offer and what the data center sector can offer. We run something every month, so there's always something on. So if you do miss it 1 week or miss it 1 month, there's an opportunity to get involved the following month. I mean, we've got all of our socials up now. We've got LinkedIn, Insta, TikTok, and we've even got a Spotify account. We like to keep the music flowing and create event playlists to keep everyone engaged. We've got a really awesome website that's up and running, and it's growing with every sort of event we do. We upload the pictures from there and links to what we've got going on in the future. As Holly said as well, we've got our mailing list and monthly newsletter, so you can easily access that. I mean, even just dropping us an email or a DM, we're all very accessible, and we're all happy to help, and we're all quite approachable people. So any queries or questions about events, or if you're keen to sponsor, then it'll be great to talk to you. Maybe contact Holly for that one though, because she knows a little bit more about it than me. Good.
I presume you got one of those really old school websites as well.
Unfortunately, not. No, it's
as well as TikTok, Spotify, and Instagram.
No, it's all on brand. Just GeN+1 coded. Don't worry.
The young people really that are coming into the industry are moving away from the old school website. LinkedIn is kind of, I'm going to upset a lot of people here probably listening, but LinkedIn is kind of seen as a little bit like cringy and old. So it's really important for us to make sure we're following the trends and actually using the platforms that the young people are on. And, there's an element of TikTok which brings a little fun and creativity to, which sometimes doesn't come across when you're using LinkedIn, and it kind of auto shows you what you should respond to things. Like I think the youth are moving away from these platforms, and we are really with the times. We use the trends. We make sure that we're using the hashtags, because we just want to land on somebody's page who is like who will watch the video and be like, what the hell is a data center? And they might be able to go from that TikTok to the LinkedIn or to the website. And that's what's really important for us, is that we need to make sure that we are where they're seeing it.
Just bouncing off what Hayley said there, I think for me, coming from a teaching background, and other industries in different roles as well, you can think of nursing or teaching, anything like that. You can kind of go on those platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and you can see someone's whole day. You can watch them go into their classroom, put on their displays. You get such a picture of what somebody does day to day for a job, a nurse, a policeman, all of those kind of roles. But it's if you say data centers, people are thinking, what's that? I kind of want to know what your day looks like. I want to see if that's something I'd want to do. I mean, for example, if I go on holiday, I'll look up a resort and I'll look up a restaurant, and I want to be visually in there to see if that's something I'm going to want to do, spend my money on, go visit. So why would you not have a job role promoted to you or advertised to you in a way that you might spend 20 years working in the industry? You want to see if it's something you're going to enjoy. So I think for us it's if you type in the word data center, there should be something fun and there should be something exciting that you can see. So it's just us trying to blast that platform with so much content and provide that information.
I see. And does Gen+1 offer advice and assistance to companies that have perhaps got a slightly older demographic workforce about how to perhaps communicate with the younger generations and attract younger people into their businesses?
We're trying to do that. I mean, interestingly, one of our co-founders did a post recently, again, controversially on LinkedIn, trying to say, look, we're also on TikTok. And it was very interesting, the responses that we got back. And you can really see the older demographic being like, oh, I'm not downloading TikTok. I can barely even use this one, and it was really kind of funny to read the responses, and it just completely went over their head, I think, what the message that Richard was trying to portray, which is, look, we are on a different platform and it's not necessarily for you, but it's to be shared by you guys to your younger, your new to career groups. But it really did portray very well the divide between sort of the young and the old. But I think doing more stuff on TikTok, us doing more links like that on LinkedIn, posts like that on LinkedIn, are really going to help educate some of these companies. And what I think they could probably take away from it is a little bit like, okay, well, so we're if you see how fast our network is growing, we're obviously doing something right. So if anybody can kind of take away a lesson from Gen+1 and say, okay, I've got this graduate scheme, but no one's signing on to it. We're not getting a lot of new talent coming in. Maybe you're just advertising wrong or in the wrong way or not sending the right message or on the wrong platform. So I think we're happy to give advice there because we've learned from doing it. We have that young, we have a lot of Gen Z advisors that are also helping us here because we're not necessarily in the Gen Z category ourselves, but we have a lot of people helping us. So we're happy to help them, more established companies, if they want to get on the movement that we're doing it, or they want to kind of copy what we're doing. We're here to help them, but we're going to lead by example. So just have a look what we're doing and take some notes. And yeah, I think it would be beneficial.
So I heard Holly is going to be putting on a TikTok 101 seminar. Because she finally roped me into doing one as well. So I'm now on board. I'm now in TikTok land.
Nobody is safe. No one is safe. But I think it's really funny what Hayley was saying, because we have had, CEOs or senior leaders come to our events, and within sort of half an hour, they kind of circle back to the entrance going, oh, this isn't really for me, isn't it? And we're like, no, we did try and tell you, but it's in the name. N+1 is an industry term, but it also means, if you are coming, you are maybe a leader or somebody more executive, you bring a younger person with you and help them to sort of network and throw them into those environments. And that's really important. But it's a real shame sometimes there are initiatives that we've got and opportunities where the young people can experience conferences or events where they're not typically invited to, and some companies they're not on board with that and they don't want their younger staff there. So it's got to be an industry effort, and it's got to be something that everyone backs for it to be successful and for it to be appealing for younger people wanting to come into this industry.
Absolutely, it sounds like a really interesting positioning there, and it's great. It's really great to hear that there is an organisation out there that's focused on kind of bringing the younger, especially the younger community in our industry together and supporting those that kind of age groups in our industry. Just to sort of finish off here, it's been a really fascinating insight into the organisation and what you're trying to do and how it all started and that kind of thing. Where do you think is the next kind of steps for Gen+1? Where do you think it's going to be in the next kind of 5 to 10 years?
We're aiming big. We've got big plans. So we're going to aim to try and expand internationally more. Again, with flagship events, maybe partnering with more events in the EU and even over the sea, US, and beyond even. Who knows? The sky's the limit on that one. I think we're going to try and continue to build our educational offering as well. We touched on quite a lot of initiatives that we see value in not just the younger cohort in the data center industry now, but those outside of it, and those in the local sort of councils and areas. Leveling up our socials, I think we're going to be a lot more active on our socials, and our digital presence in 2026 is going to really take it to the next level. We touched upon sort of the early influence piece. I think engaging with those local communities, schools, colleges, and really trying to spread the word, spark that curiosity and get in there early. And then we've also sort of dropped a little teaser video for our big offering next year, which will be our GeN+1 conference. And that's going to be our first sort of conference style event that we're going to be holding in July next year. June next year. So yeah, we're really sort of engaging in that now, and we're hopefully, if that's successful, we'll continue to push that on for many years to come. So yeah, keep listening, and we're going to be pushing things even further next year and beyond.
So our conference offering is meant to be tailored for the younger generation, for those looking into the industry as a career path. It's tailored for younger people. It's going to be panels with young people sat on them talking about their own personal experiences, their own, they're talking about sustainability, but from a young person's perspective. It shouldn't be the same old conference having the same old conversations about young talent and skill shortages. We're actually going to get the young people on the stage and discussing it themselves, and hopefully some people in the audience will be inspired by that. We are offering that to university students and even below that college age, and really advertising that, come to this, see if this is something you'd enjoy. We're going to host workshops, a similar sort of style to our masterclasses, and also promote some of our impact sponsors that do so much for us and really back our movement and help us to put on a lot of these events. So they will be there to promote their companies and show, this is something that you can be a part of, or just talk about the types of job roles that are available as well. But that is definitely our big push next year, and that's something that I think is really missing. You'll have a lot of conferences that are just for leaders or just for senior staff or just about one specific niche of the industry, but there's nothing really that is just a place for young people to get together and progress and learn. But also it's all to do with the backing of companies. We really rely on our sponsors, and we want to partner with bigger companies. We want there to be, the Googles, the Microsofts, and we want them to be the leaders of the industry so that everybody else is following, because we really need that to make a difference. As I mentioned before, it takes everyone.
Yeah, you can't be what you can't see, and a lot of these school leavers and university leavers, unless you're sort of like me and Holly, you don't know data centers there unless somebody's already there themselves. But why not give the school leavers an opportunity to have a look at what all these roles could be, and then inadvertently you're solving the skills gap shortage that we do have today, because you're actually bringing people actively into the roles that we do need, to deliver these data centers as fast as the industry is growing. So we really went to a lot of the conferences that are already there, and it was a real common theme about how the industry is just lacking in talent. And we really like to pride ourselves that we went away from them conferences and thought, okay, we're going to do something about it. And we really hope that everybody else gets on board with that as well, and either joins us in our initiative or does something themselves, because I think we can attack this from all angles.
Yeah, well, I mean, in wrapping up here now, it's been really interesting to get an insight into GeN+1 and to meet the three of you online and to learn a lot more about the activity, how the organisation was established. I mean, I echo exactly what you say. Every single conference you go to these days, there are 2 or 3 recurring themes, and one of them is skill shortage. And what do we do about skill shortage? And how do we attract younger people into our industry? And how do we tell the world about it? And it's great to see, and it's a real credit to the founders of GeN+1 and to the people who are involved, and especially you three on the video this afternoon. that there is an organisation out there that's doing something to address it, and rather than just talking about it, is actually taking action. So it's great to hear and to learn more about it. And I wish you and the organisation and the founders the greatest success moving forward from here. It'll be fascinating to watch and see how GeN+1 evolves in the future.